Hello everyone, it's me, Team Mario C, and today we are back with day 3 of Cosmic Sky. Today we have a little update to start us off before we get into the island automation setup, which is going to be the focus of today's episode. I have been busy adventuring. If we take a look at /adventure skills, we can see that I have now reached level 6 in Abandoned Ruins, which has given me access to level 2 of the adventure kit. So if we go here and preview this kit, we can see that it is a lot better. It comes with some enchants, including Well-Fed 2. It comes with Oblivion Flame 1 and implants as well. It's a lot better. The Oblivion Flame is nice, Well-Fed 2 is nice. All of it is very, very nice indeed. So that's the gist. This is the session I got from about an hour of grinding, as well as if we go into our /collect, you can see I got a number of sockets and things from and four cow spawners too. So let's put this stuff away, and while I'm doing that, let's talk about what we're going to be focusing on today's episode. So we are going to be focusing on setting up our island automation, and that requires quite a lot of different components. It requires a fuel setup, it requires setups for the various bots, fuel pipes, all sorts of bits and bobs that take time and energy to, well, not like energy, like my mental energy to complete. Certainly there are ways of speeding up, and I'm hoping that this video will serve as a bit of a guide for very, very early game automation, because it's very useful. Especially, I think you're going to probably hit a wall in terms of island XP that you can gain manually very quickly. So yeah, at this point is not a bad time, especially if you're a solo player like me, to start looking seriously at automation to accelerate your progress, because as you've seen, we now have quite a lot of crops and things just from my own adventure grinding that I want to place down in addition to what's already down. We have bought a lot of bots off camera, and I do mean a lot. You can see that we have 10 of them currently placed. We actually have a few more that we got from adventure that I probably need to sell. But if you take a look on Age, you can see that they're pretty bloody cheap, so no problem with putting some of these back on the auction house. I'm going to put some of our sockets away and finish off finally with our spawner shard. Yeah. Okay. So, where are we in terms of our progression? So, sorry, those guys are very loud still. So we have to set up some things. I've gone hard and bought a lot of bots. I have also made a pretty significant purchase, or a pretty significant milestone. If I filter by seller, so if you do /help, just to remind me, there are a bunch of auction house commands. If we do AH history, yeah, that makes sense. Team Mario C, you can see that not only did I finally sell that Sweeping Scythe 5 gem, I sold the Buffed 5 gem as well. So Buffed 5 is a very good enchant. I mentioned it yesterday. It was the GG RNG pull that we got from all of the gems we opened. I sold that for 250k. Unfortunately, a feature of this server is absolutely gigantic widespread inflation. There is, unlike other servers, like for example Hypixel Skyblock, which has which tries and balances its money in, money out of the economy, that is not the case for the server. Things will rapidly inflate as new recipes are automated, as new adventure chests come out and more money is made. Generally, that just increases the money pool on the server. So most items, especially high value items like gems and like slots, will inflate. That's one of the reasons that slots are used as a store of value, because the inflation on the server is pretty fucking bonkers. I mean, we're talking about a doubling in slot price in like less than 12 hours. Like I went to bed and slots were less than 40k, and I woke up and they're now 70k. It's pretty nuts indeed. So what are we going to do with that money? Well, I spent a lot of that money on the bots, but I also spent a lot of it on this massive pile of science ingots. That's right, we have a bunch of stuff now, and if we combine that with this, you'll see that we have basically a full stack of science ingots, not including a portion that is going to go on my trinkets. This is very important because if you look at the science shop, there are a few things in here that we will absolutely be needing. One of those is a lot of hoppers, in order to get fuel automatically in these bots, we will need at least 1 hopper per bot. 10 mining bots, 8 slayer bots, 5 auto harvesters. You're talking about a couple dozen hoppers, which is equivalent to 12 science ingots. So that's going to take a big chunk of them. But we also might want to use them to buy some other bots, like the Baby Auto Crafter and Baby Auto Smelter. That will be not specifically for the first stage of automation, but if there is a recipe that we start trying to automate to make some money, we might have to use some of that science on that. And also just science is, I mean, it's not a hedge against inflation really, because it's quite plentiful, especially in adventure, but it is useful, and having a stockpile of it is not a bad thing. So yeah, that's the gist, that's the setup, that is the prelude to what we are going to be doing today. I have built a little frame. Let's go back into F1 and go up with our flight orb. This is the outline of our current island size. All of these special progression islands, which I haven't talked about yet, and I'm still going to not talk about, are currently outside of the border of what we have unlocked. If you go into IS level, you can see that we have a certain island size and island height, and that doesn't increase until island level 13, which is more than a week away for us. So this is the space that we are confined with for the next several days, so we want to make as good use of it as possible, and it's just a little visual outline for me as we go ahead and start building. We can't just, I can't come out and do stuff over here. I have to make sure my setups, my automation is confined within this space, and it's fairly generous, but you do have to bear it in mind when building. So I built that little frame for myself. Now, we've gone over the adventure progression. We've talked about what we're going to do. I had an interesting RNG moment today. I opened my rank kit. For those of you that don't know, the rank kit, apparently that's not a thing. The rank kit Galactic has Abandoned Ruins adventure loot. However, this loot in particular is not tiered to the currently available loot accessible in /fund. So Godly Abandoned Ruins loot is actually not in the game yet. However, every single Galactic rank kit will give probably, I think it's 1 item from each tier up to Godly. So instead of 4 random items, you get 1 basic, 1 elite, 1 legendary, and 1 Godly item. And I got really lucky because today that Godly item gave me this. I talked about it a bit previously, but the Mythic socket is the highest tier of socket in the game. It is effectively a universal socket for enchants, and it means if you combine it with a heroic socket, for example, if I grab out, I mean this isn't going to work, but if that did apply, you would be able to have a heroic and a mythic socket, which means you would have space for 2 heroic enchants, which is very, very powerful indeed. Hopefully, I'm gonna probably try and put this on this, but we're gonna wait a bit to make that decision, because I actually would need to have some enchants to apply, and I did just sell the buffed, so I don't really have any at the moment. So yeah, that's a little bit of RNG. I think I've covered everything. So now we are going to get into building. I want to try. It's going to definitely be a try. It will probably overrun and build most of this automation setup before Godly Loot releases, because once Godly Loot comes out, we want to be in the adventure or grinding island quests in order to get that loot. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll come back in a moment, or in just a second for you guys, but it's going to be a little while for me because I need some lunch. But the next thing you'll see is me starting work on the automation setup. And we are back much later. Behind me, we have some exciting things to show off. I have done all of the building for this off camera, and I've used the replay mod to record it all. It was kind of late when I actually got round to it, and well, it was going to be a pain in the arse to explain it as I was building, so I kind of just did the process. And now I can talk about everything once now that I've finished it. By the way, if I win the Celestial Jackpot, I'm gonna kind of freak out, but I know I'm not, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. So let's explain this setup. First of all, point one, the backbone of any fuel system is. Okay, I didn't win. I was hoping just a little bit. There's a 80 Celestial ranks on right now, so it's kind of not surprising. The backbone of any island automation on this server is fuel production. Fuel comes in a variety of forms. If you do /fuel, you'll be able to see all of the different types. There is the base fuel, which you get from fuel nodes. There is coal fuel, which can be crafted with coal and fuel. Iron fuel that can be crafted with iron, scrap and coal fuel, going on and on all the way up to nether. Now you might think, well, how much of a benefit is it? So 2 fuel and 4 coal combined makes 8 coal fuel, with the total fuel value of that craft being 80, and the fuel value of the 2 fuel used is 6. So it is a massive jump up every time in terms of the fuel values that you produce. But the actual process you need to make that fuel is like kind of goes exponentially up. But the good news is that for baby Autobots, you really don't need more than the basic non-crafted fuel, the fuel that you mine from fuel nodes like these ones. Although we will need coal fuel if we ever want to move on from baby Autobots, for now this fuel setup works wonders. So what does our fuel production look like in this setup? Well, it's very simple. I've got a box here that holds all of my auto miner bots, and they are all mining enriched fuel nodes. When they do, those items will drop on where the bots are standing. So you'll see the next time these guys mine, all of the items, they appear on the block that the bot is. Then the water that I placed down after the bots were placed pushes all of the items into this stream, and it goes into a water pipe. So this is completely vanilla water pipe. It just uses flowing water, ice, and a soul sand bubble column to push the items around, and now I can push them up. And the fuel that was mined, well, where does it go? The first most important thing that you have in any automation setup is that whatever fuel you produce, the first thing it should fuel is the fuel production. So in this case, the fuel immediately goes over the auto mining bots that are making the fuel. That's step one. That means that this system is completely infinite because you don't have to do any manual refueling of the bots. Makes sense, right? But it's a very important principle, and it becomes not more necessarily more difficult, but a little bit more fiddly to do the same thing for more advanced fuel setups. But then where does it go? Well, the water continues, and it comes round to the auto slayers. Now, these guys are very loud, so just for a moment I'm going to turn down the master volume. We have a bunch of chickens and rabbits being spawned by these spawners. I actually had to buy a few more on the auction house. I ended up selling my slot, but I haven't had to sell any dust, which is good. So I bought some more rabbit and chicken spawners. This is now completely infinite, and this is slowly but surely getting us some experience. Obviously, because it's chickens and rabbits, it's not very much, but like over a long enough times period, it will be helpful, or at least that's what I'm hoping. But yeah, that's the long and short of it. It just goes over. You should be warned about item flowing over hoppers. It can be a little bit interesting. So I've placed these water blocks in a way that there's never a so you see these, right, where you place the signs. This is ice. I've tried to make it so that the signs, aka the blocks where there isn't flowing water, will never be on top of a hopper, because it might not like flow properly if that's the case. But it can flow over all of these hoppers. As you can see, this gets pushed and it keeps on going like that. This is if we ever, or once we eventually get cows, but that is island level 8, so that is a little ways away at the moment. We also hit island level 6 thanks to this automation setup. It's only been like a few hours of this running, and we've already done like most of the rest of island level 5, which is great. So where does it go after the slayers? Well, it comes to the end and it drops down here. Are we going to see any drop down? Yeah, there you go. Just like that. I actually might... so, I mean, I think it is working reliably, but... Let's just do that. In case, you know, we don't want to get any items spilling. And then it comes along to our gigantic auto harvesting setup. So it takes a bit more to explain auto harvesters. These guys, especially these baby ones, they move very slowly, but they mine a 3x1 area in front as they move. So each of these can mine out three block path. If we turn on chunk borders, you'll note that I have built this all within one chunk. The reasons for that will become apparent later when we actually care about the materials that these are farming. At the moment, you should be able to see that, yeah, the crops that it's harvesting are just being dropped on the ground. They aren't actually going anywhere at the moment. That's certainly somewhere we will need to improve the setup. But at the moment, the fuel is coming along because the... do I need to... I've kind of been trying to tweak these setups. You can go in and you can modify the fueling cycles, and that will obviously change. I might just bump it up all the way to 10, because I am going to probably add more crops eventually as well, and I don't want to have to worry about it in changing them in future. But yeah, so the auto harvesters go along and they mine a continuous like path and they go to the end, and if there's an empty block at the end like there is here, they just stop and turn around. Yeah, and you can change how long they sit under the hoppers and refuel by going in and modifying the fueling cycles, and it will tell you what the actual time volume of that cycle is. You can see that it's about 3 seconds per cycle, so 10 cycles should be roughly 30-second refuel period. Hopefully that will mean that those guys do get enough fuel, because it's not a problem of production, it becomes a problem of actually moving that fuel into the bots, because they do have quite a path they need to travel. But yeah, that is the 3 main components. We have the fuel production, which at the moment is only consisting of auto mining bots. All of that gets pushed into the water pipe, which then funnels it around to all of the other systems. The priority system that it goes to is the auto slayers, and then any excess goes down and gets cycled through. And at the end here, I don't think I mentioned it, but it's pretty obvious visually that any fuel production that can't go into the hoppers, it basically just goes to the end and gets pushed back around the system, instead of being like deleted or something. This is the way I've got it set up. So yeah, that's the gist. Now that we have hit island level 6, I can actually place down some potatoes, which is pretty exciting. Let's do it along here. I should also note that I have designed this in a way, or I'm using mangrove roots, which is something that I stole from one of the top islands on the server at the moment. Well, it's probably tech that's been known for a while, but I didn't know about it. So you can use this to have the bots walk over water, because this is obviously a waterlogged full block, and they can just go over it like there's no problem at all. I should say crops can grow without water source blocks, but I would highly recommend, especially for the farmable crops, that you do use them. The reason for that is because crops will grow much faster in like fertile farmland as opposed to non-fertile farmland. But yeah, that's about it. Mining, slaying, auto harvesting, those are the 3 pillars of our early game automation. There are obviously things that I haven't covered or that I haven't constructed yet, but this is going to massively boost the amount of island XP we get. And I've obviously moved the beehives up here, and they are gathering like an absurd quantity of pollen now. Now that we have this many crops, the gather rate is insane. I don't have anywhere near enough honeycombs to actually like continuously fill them, which is quite funny. Could probably maybe buy some more. I've heard that they get good, but at the moment it seems like a bit too much of a money sink for too little of a return, but we will see. Maybe I'll place a bunch of like trees down on this base layer and get some honeycombs for myself. But yeah, that's about it. Automation 100% complete. Hopefully I can interspace some replay clips with my explanation, but this took me like a couple hours to build, and it wasn't cheap, so you know, it was a bit of effort. What I am going to do though is end the episode here, but just before I do that, I wanted to buy some more things from the science shop. You'll see that I've spent most of my science ingots. What I'm going to buy is a auto tinkerer and a auto gem tinkerer. So these will be useful blocks in the future. I think I'll show you how to get them set up now. So the auto tinkerer, this is very simple. If you right click, you can see the various enchants. We can go in and we can say, oh, I want max level efficiency 5. I don't want any silk touch, and I want unbreaking 3. That's nice and simple. Then we can look at armor. Well, I want max levels, right? Don't care about prot 3s. Don't want any blast protections. Only care about feather falling 4. Same way for projectile 4. Same way for fire prot 4. And if you want to give me depth 3, that's fine too. So you just select those, all max enchants, all other books will be tinkered for their EXP bottles, and then we can do the same thing with sharpness and smite, and we don't really care about fire aspects, so we're just going to leave that unspecified. And then, for example, if I just buy a bunch of armor books like this, it's a single right click, and I didn't get any of the max level armor books that were specified, but I open all of them instantly, and then it instantly gives me the Tinkerer XP back. So it's very, very good in that respect. And I just got 2 Feather Falling 4s because of course I did. But yeah, that's about it for the Auto Tinkerer. Now I'll show off the Gem Tinkerer. Now I actually haven't used this before, so yeah, this, bloody hell, this is going to take some effort. Now, first of all, if I click Oblivion Flame here, it's going to apply Oblivion Flame everywhere. Okay, Jesus. Oh, and it tells you a minimum level 2? Crikey Moses. Okay. There's going to be some setup required for this, obviously, to select the preferences. I'm not going to worry about that right now, I think. But this is like the Auto Tinkerer. I did some book and gem opening in the first episode. It saves so much time, so I am perfectly happy to do all of that. But now I think I need to get back into the adventure and also sell some enriched fuel nodes. Yeah, let's just sell these for like 15k. I don't really care. Just a little bit of cash. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, I should note, another day, another ridiculous inflation and slot price. I'm not kidding. This is okay. Maybe that's ridiculous, but like, it was 80k when I logged off last night. This is now the next morning, and it's gone up again another like 50%. Okay, maybe not that much. People are still buying it for like 120k. But it's a bit ridiculous. And these enchants, bro, are still being offered like 12 slots on it because they're OP. That's what they are. But yeah, that's about it from me. I will see you all in the next episode. That is our early game automation 100% complete. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.